It started with a call, urgent, frantic, filled with words that barely formed coherent sentences. A voice trembled on the other end, struggling to explain the scene unfolding before them. "You need to get here now. Something terrible has happened." The location, a place known for bright lights, synchronized movements, and relentless ambition, now eerily quiet. The sound of approaching footsteps filled the space as responders stepped into the room. What they found changed everything. Objects lay scattered across the floor, frozen in time. A single pom-pom, its ribbons splayed across the polished surface. A chair overturned, the echoes of a struggle still lingering in the air. And then, in the center of it all, the unexpected. The news spread quickly. Whispers turned to gasps, disbelief giving way to speculation. How could someone with so much promise, someone whose future seemed limitless, find themselves at the center of something like this? The answer wasn't simple. It stretched back further than anyone realized, to quiet moments, secret conversations, and choices made behind closed doors. The courtroom was silent as she stepped inside, surrounded by flashing cameras, watchful eyes, and questions hanging thick in the air. The once celebrated athlete now stood accused, and the weight of that reality settled over the entire room. But to understand how it came to this, we have to go back to where it all began. Sarah Thompson, a dedicated high school senior, hails from a typical middle-class family. Her parents, deeply invested in her future, believed that excelling in cheerleading could pave the way for a college scholarship. With college expenses looming, they see her athletic prowess as a potential ticket to higher education, placing immense pressure on Sarah to perform at her best. Balancing academics and rigorous training sessions, she dreams of impressing college scouts, hoping her dedication will lead to opportunities beyond her small town. Her aspirations are fueled by stories of athletes who turned their passion into scholarships, motivating her to push through the physical and mental challenges of the sport. Meet Coach Michael Turner, a respected figure in the community, dedicated husband and father of two. His reputation for pushing athletes to their limits has earned him admiration and results. At home, he embodies the role of a devoted family man, balancing the demands of coaching with his responsibilities as a husband and father. Recognizing Sarah's ambition, Coach Turner begins to offer her additional training, commending her dedication and fostering a sense of special recognition. Communications extend beyond the gym, with late-night messages about training and personal encouragement, blurring professional boundaries. These gestures, while seemingly supportive, initiate a subtle shift in their relationship dynamics. Under the guise of extra training, their meetings become more frequent and secluded, fostering a deeper, concealed connection. These private moments cultivate a bond that Sarah interprets as genuine affection, believing she has found a mentor and confidant. Secrecy becomes paramount. Sarah conceals messages and alters routines to prevent suspicion, the weight of their clandestine relationship growing heavier. The imbalance of power becomes evident as Coach Turner controls their interactions, reinforcing his dominance under the pretext of mentorship. Conflicted emotions surge within Sarah, elation from perceived affection and the gnawing fear of potential discovery. Unbeknownst to Sarah, the path she treads is fraught with complexities that extend beyond her understanding. Sarah, a dedicated high school cheerleader, had always been punctual with her menstrual cycles. Noticing a delay, she felt a wave of anxiety. Determined to find answers, she purchased a home pregnancy test. Alone in her bathroom, hands trembling, she waited for the results. 2 lines appeared, confirming her pregnancy. Overwhelmed, she grabbed her phone and sent a hurried text to Coach Turner. "We need to talk, now." Seeking confirmation and guidance, Sarah scheduled a visit with her doctor. During the appointment, routine blood tests were conducted. A few days later, she was called back to discuss the results. Sitting across from her, the doctor wore a concerned expression. "Sarah," the doctor began gently, "we need to talk about your test results." The doctor informed her that, in addition to confirming the pregnancy, the tests had returned positive for HIV. Sarah was stunned, struggling to process the information, and immediately denied the possibility, insisting there must be a mistake. The doctor explained the accuracy of the tests and discussed the next steps for treatment and management. Sarah stands near the school's parking lot, gripping her phone tightly. Her heart races as she spots Coach Turner approaching his car, Summoning her courage, she steps into his path. "Coach, we need to talk," she says, her voice trembling. Turner glances around, ensuring no one is within earshot. "Sarah, this isn't the time or place." Ignoring his attempt to dismiss her, Sarah blurts out, "I'm pregnant, and I just found out I have HIV." Turner's expression hardens. "You can't pin that on me. Who else have you been with?" Tears well up in Sarah's eyes. "You were the only one. How could you do this to me?" He steps closer, lowering his voice. "Listen, you need to calm down. Accusations like this can ruin lives, yours included." Sarah feels a mix of rage and despair. "I trusted you. I thought you cared about me." Turner sighs, glancing around again. "We both made choices. Now, you need to deal with the consequences without dragging me into it." As he walks away, Sarah is left standing alone, the weight of betrayal pressing down on her. Sarah's world narrows to a single focus, Coach Turner. She begins to follow him, watching his every move, seeing him coach, observing him with his wife. It consumes her thoughts. At home, Sarah's journal fills with angry words. She writes about her pain, her anger, her longing for him to acknowledge what he's done. She practices conversations in the mirror, imagining how she'll confront him. Her friends notice changes. Once lively and engaged, Sarah becomes distant. She skips social events, ignores messages, and seems lost in her own world. Whispers circulate among her teammates, concern growing about her strange behavior. Determined to regain control, Turner decides to end things. He meets Sarah in a secluded spot near the school. His tone is firm. "This has to stop. You're ruining your life." Sarah's eyes flash with anger. "You ruined my life first," she retorts, her voice shaking. The weight of betrayal and hurt presses down on her, and she feels a storm building inside. The gym is quiet after practice. Turner stays behind, reviewing plays for the next game. His phone buzzes, a message from Sarah. "Come to the supply room. I need to see you." He hesitates but decides to go, hoping to finally put an end to the situation. In the dimly lit supply room, Sarah waits, her expression unreadable. "We need to talk," she begins, her voice tight. The conversation quickly escalates. She demands he take responsibility for his actions, for the pain he's caused. He denies, deflects, and tries to placate her. Emotions spiral out of control. In a moment of blind rage, Sarah's hand finds a pair of scissors from the cheerleading kit. Without thinking, she lunges. Silence follows. Blood pools on the gym floor. Sarah stands over Turner, breathless, the weight of her actions crashing down upon her. The gym is eerily quiet, the usual sounds of practice replaced by a heavy silence. A teammate enters, calling out for Coach Turner. Her footsteps echo as she approaches the supply room. Pushing the door open, she gasps, dropping her water bottle. Coach Turner lies motionless, a pool of blood beneath him. Panic grips her, and she screams, alerting others in the building. Within minutes, police sirens pierce the air. Officers arrive, securing the area to preserve evidence. They cordon off the crime scene, ensuring no one contaminates potential clues. Detectives begin their work, examining the scene meticulously. They note the position of the body, the blood patterns, and any objects out of place. Investigators collect fingerprints, photograph the scene, and gather any items that might serve as evidence. They interview those present, seeking any information about recent events or possible motives. The discovery of Coach Turner's phone becomes a focal point. Detectives hope it holds clues about his recent interactions. As they delve deeper, they uncover deleted text messages between Sarah and Coach Turner. Specialists work to recover these messages, revealing a secret relationship that had soured. The tone of the exchanges grows increasingly tense, hinting at conflicts and threats. Security footage from the school is reviewed. Cameras capture Sarah entering the gym after hours, her demeanor anxious. This footage, combined with the recovered messages, begins to paint a troubling picture. At Sarah's home, the evening is calm. Her parents are in the living room, discussing the day's events. Sarah sits in her room, staring blankly at her phone, the weight of recent events pressing down on her. Suddenly, there's a firm knock at the door. Her father answers, finding two police officers standing solemnly. "Good evening, sir. Is Sarah home? We need to speak with her." Confused, he calls for Sarah. She appears at the top of the stairs, her face pale. Sarah, these officers need to talk to you. The lead officer steps forward. Sarah, you're under arrest for the murder of Coach Turner. Please come with us. Her mother gasps, clutching her chest, while her father stands frozen, disbelief etched on his face. Sarah descends the stairs, her movements mechanical. The officers handcuff her gently, reading her rights. As they lead her out, neighbors peek through curtains, whispers spreading like wildfire. In a stark, windowless room, Sarah sits at a metal table. A single light hangs overhead, casting a harsh glow. Across from her sits Detective Martinez, a seasoned investigator with a calm demeanor. Sarah, we want to understand what happened. Help us by telling your side. Sarah's eyes are fixed on the table, her hands trembling slightly. He lied to me. He said he loved me, but he used me. Detective Martinez leans in, his voice gentle. We found the messages, Sarah. We know about the relationship, but we need to know about that night. Tears well up in her eyes. I didn't mean to. It just happened. He said I was ruining my life, but he ruined it first. The detective nods, understanding the complexity of emotions involved. He knows this confession will be crucial in the upcoming trial. The courtroom buzzes with murmurs as people fill the seats, eager to witness the trial that has gripped the community. Reporters line the back, notebooks in hand. The judge enters, and the room falls silent. The prosecution begins, painting Sarah as a cold-blooded killer. She acted out of jealousy and rage, taking the life of a respected coach. They present evidence, the recovered text messages, the security footage, and the forensic reports. Each piece builds their narrative of premeditation. The defense counters, portraying Sarah as a victim of manipulation. Coach Turner abused his position of power, engaging in an inappropriate relationship with a vulnerable teenager. She acted in a moment of emotional turmoil. A former teammate takes the stand, her voice filled with emotion. Sarah changed after she got involved with him. She became withdrawn, not the cheerful person we knew. The jury listens intently, weighing each argument, each testimony. Days turn into weeks, and finally, the jury reaches a decision. The courtroom is tense, every eye on the foreperson as she stands. We find the defendant, Sarah Mitchell, guilty of second-degree murder. A collective breath is held. Sarah stands, her face a mask of stoicism. Inside, a whirlwind of emotions rages, but she shows no sign. The judge addresses the court. This case is a tragedy on many levels. A young life full of promise now faces years behind bars, and a community mourns the loss of a respected coach. Let this serve as a somber reminder of the consequences of our actions. Years later, in a dimly lit prison interview room, Sarah sits across from a journalist. Her hair is shorter, eyes hardened by time, but there's a glimmer of the girl she once was. Do you regret what happened, Sarah? She pauses, reflecting. I regret trusting him. I regret letting him control my life. But most of